Do you wonder how Frank Schilling prices domains, what criteria he uses to value domains, and how much art versus science is involved? Frank joins Adam Dicker and Paige Howe as a Sherpa on today's DomainSherpa review. Listen in as he tells us which domains to drop and which he would swing for the fences on. Stay tuned. I have 3 sponsor messages before we get into today's show. First, if you have a great domain name and nothing to show when people visit, you're missing out on potential advertising revenue, leads, and partnership opportunities. NicheWebsites.com can build you a site quickly with a price option to suit any need. But as their tagline says, they don't just build websites, they build businesses. NicheWebsites.com. Second, if you're buying or selling a domain name or portfolio and you want an estimate of its value, Estimate.com is the place to go. Just like you'd visit Zillow.com to get an estimate of a house value, Estimate.com provides key information about the most important statistics so you can make an informed decision based on data. Finally, whether you're buying, selling, brokering, or financing a domain name, you need an escrow company that's properly licensed, bonded, insured, and audited. That company is escrow.com, and they've been doing it since 1999. Escrow.com. It's about trust. Hey everyone, I'm Michael Cyger, publisher of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the Domain Sherpa Review. This is the show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics by hearing what they think about specific domain names and why. We have 3 sections to the review: an investor-submitted domain name portfolio to discuss and review, a marketplace list from namejet.com, and we're going to wrap it up with our Name That Price game, where I try and trick the Sherpas into thinking that really expensive domains sold for little and opposite. Joining us today on the Domain Sherpa Review are 2 past Sherpas and thought leaders. In order from left to right, we have Frank Schilling, internet investor, entrepreneur, and founder of the domain name sales platform and the registry and registrar, uniregistry.com. And Paige Howe, founder of the joedomains.com marketplace and domaintipsheet.com service, where you can find great hand-selected domain names for reg fee pricing. Sherpas, welcome to today's show.
Good to be here.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Frank, it's great to have you filling on for Andrew Rosener. Well, I always look forward to, I don't look forward to the regular Sherpas not being here, but I always look forward to having you. This is the first time, I believe, that you've been on the Domain Sherpa Review, where we actually get to see what experienced investors think. So, like we discussed right before I hit the record button, I want to know if you got your valuation chops going, or is it, just Jeff Gabriel and the other team members that are pricing all the domains nowadays? So we're going to...
Jeff's just coming. Hang on just 1 minute. Jeff's just coming here asking me for a price. 1 second.
All right, and of course Jeff has been on a Domain Sherpa Review in the past, so we know he's got his chops all honed up. You probably noticed Adam Dicker has not joined us yet. We're hoping that Adam is going to join us mid-show. He'll just pop right on here. Frank, before we get started, in the first section, I asked you right before the show, do you have everything you need for the show since this is your first time? Do you look at the Estimate data that we provide, which has the number of advertisers and the number of search volume and the number of, the cost per click? And you said to me, I only have 2 criteria, Mike. Right?
Right. I don't use any of that stuff.
So you've been domain investing for a couple of years, Frank, as I see on your Wikipedia page. What do you do for valuing domain names?
I look at so some of it's basically built-in knowledge that you just know. Okay, you understand the keyword weight and the gravity of the name, and that's very touchy-feely. That's the art of the domain name. And I would say it's really 80% art and only 20% science that goes into domain names. You have to look at it. You have to feel it. There are names that are just transcendent. You know them when you hear them. You've seen them. And if you've been in the industry long enough, these things come around like Halley's Comet. You'll be like, oh, I saw this 30 years ago. I remember this. I have a good long-term memory. But the 2 criteria I use that are more technical, the math of it, the 20% that is not art, that's more science, are something that we in-house call AMR and ADT. And that's average monthly revenue on PPC and average daily traffic, ADT and AMR. And so average daily traffic, how many uniques a day is this name getting on average? Mm-hmm. And that could be, on many names, that's only a fraction of a unique a day. It's just DIN level type in traffic, but it's a very good tell as to the resonance and gravity of the name and how strong it is in the hearts and minds of people. And then on AMR, again, in these difficult days of PPC, when nobody's making any money in PPC, including yours truly, you could still get a DIN level of what CPC is bringing. And that's a tell as to the amount of bidders. It kind of does a lot of what Estibot does, because as you see a lot of ADT numbers over and over again, you get to kind of see, oh, this one's higher than that one, and so on. You get to see patterns emerge. And so I use AMR and ADT as a guidepost, and then call on my years of experience, because this is all I do every day.
Sure, but let's say that I'm like every other investor out there. I've got a bunch of domain names. They don't make much. I do have my domain names parked at domain name sales, internettraffic.com. And let's say that one of them is getting, one of my best names, let's say, gets probably 50 uniques a day, maybe earns, I don't know, $1 or $2 a day for me.
Yeah.
How would you use those two pieces of information to price that domain?
Well, without even knowing that, now, again, I said that's 20% of it is science. Would you mind sharing the name, or do you want to?
Sure, diagnose.com, let's say.
Right, well, that's a terrific name. So now you can see that the name has keyword weight and gravity, so you can see that's a real name. Somebody's typing that in. That's not mechanical or bot traffic. It's not, the name is XR7-4, and because that's a different type of name than that would get that AMR and ADT footprint.
Right.
But you see that, that's really good that you brought that up and that it's parked with us, so that you can see the AMR and ADT on it. 50 a day tells me that Google is likely discounting that a lot, or just not optimizing it well, because diagnosis, clearly such a resonant keyword. And then on the other hand, it could be that the drug companies don't want to advertise on domain, and so they're discounting, and so it's not getting its full potential, or oomph of what it could. But the ADT, or the traffic, is like off the chart, 50 uniques a day, in a world where everybody's on apps and supposedly everybody's on, at YouTube and in the portals like Facebook and Twitter. 50 people have are so passionate about diagnose that they would type the name into their address bar and append it with .com every single day. That's a strong footprint and a great tell that you have an incredible name. So when you couple the 80% of art, that it's a home run name, and then you couple it with that signature of traffic and revenue, you can understand why the revenue is low and undervalued at the moment. So you just discount that, and you price it accordingly based on its traffic and what its potential is.
But so 50 a day, like how do you price a domain name based on the unique visitors if you know that the AMR is discounted for whatever reason?
I just price it. I don't sell based on the traffic revenues. But I'll do this. Let's say I own that name. Right now, somebody came to me to say, I've got an offer on this name. To my way of thinking, I would price that name probably, diagnose, I'd probably price it at $130,000. And the reason I do that is you've got to leave a little room for the next guy to make a buck. And at the same time, they're going to make you another offer. And then you have the luxury of fielding it, seeing, do they come back at like 90,000? Okay, this guy's legit. In which case, maybe you don't want to discount it at all, and you just hold firm. Or maybe they come back and say, it's just not worth that to me. Yeah. Your traffic comes from my site, diagnose.net. In which case that changes the AMR ADT signature and what and the art side of it as well. But you still get to make a call at the end of the day as to where you think, and then you use other sales, your appetite for holding it for until another buyer would come.
Right.
And you kind of use all that and you weigh it, and it's a business like any other. You just make a decision as to whether you want to take the cash now or later.
All right, and that's what we're going to do on today's show. We're going to get Frank and Paige to talk about that 80% of art that clearly is different for people who have the experience, that have been doing it for over a decade, like our two Sherpas that are on right now, and the rest of us. We're going to jump right into the first section of the show. In the domain portfolio review, we take user-submitted domain name portfolios and provide honest and constructive feedback to the owners. Sometimes we call it tough love because the owners need it and we're saving them money by encouraging them to drop names. Other times they may not see a diamond in the rough that one of the Sherpas sees. If you're watching this show on YouTube, click on the link in the description to see the list of domain names discussed on today's show. A lot of viewers like to pause the show, look over the domain name list, and price them before they listen to what the Sherpas think as a way to test themselves and see how their valuation skills are improving. Today's portfolio was submitted by Michael Dew. As part of Michael's submission, he made a generous donation to the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center right here in Seattle to help us all find a cure for research. It's one of the top research institutes in the world. Michael's list of 25 domain names starts with 3dcountry.com, as in three dimension, 3dcountry.com, and ends with veteranhousing.com. Paige, let's start with you. What domains do you like on Michael's list? And if you own them and we're listing them for sale, what retail price would you set on them?
Well, terrific. Good to be here. I'll tackle the first half of the list, so I'll go 3D Country through maybe Las Vegas Players, and that way we'll try to give each name some attention, and then I'll leave the second half. So 3D Country. So normally I'm in Tennessee, where I'd be extremely qualified to talk about this name. I'm in LA today, so with my skinny jeans and my my whey-free protein shake, I have to put myself back in country mode. But 3D Country, this is my joke for the day. It's perfect. You have the 3 Ds of country music: Dodges, Dogs, and the Dukes of Hazzard. So that's how I would brand it: Dodges, Dogs, and the Dukes of Hazzard. 3D Country, and you're off to the races. But absent that, I don't know if there's really exists a 3D country. It is kind of neat that you could have 3D music videos or see your country video in 3D. So it kind of rings nicely. If I owned it, I wouldn't drop it. If I saw it for a name jet bid that no one had bid on, I'd probably buy it. So I put wholesale, 69. And then if I did own it, if it made its way in, of course, it's the best name in the world once I own it. And so I'd probably price it $3,000 to $4,000.
Now, I looked at it and I thought it was like along the whole lines of the 3D. I'm going to print things in 3D and TVs in 3D. I thought it might be a brandable 3D country.
Like, come on down to 3D Country to print your 3D stuff.
Buy your 3D printers and TVs at 3D Country.
I think it's kind of anti-tech that way. I mean, you'd almost want to be 3D space or 3D, maybe mode or maybe another word. I don't know if you'd go with country, but I guess you could brand it 3D Country. That'd be a way to go.
Okay.
Every 2-word domain name, every 2-word combo can either be a left and a right, or it can be a right and a left. So I guess that's what we learned today is look at it each way. Look at the first word being the actor on the second one, and then look at the second one being the actor on the first one. Bankay Island, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. Interesting geo. We do a lot with geos. It's an island name, but it's not really a city name. So you're not going to have it in the zip code or the address of a lot of the hotels there. So you would really have to have local knowledge as to whether people said, where are you going for your honeymoon trip? Where are you going for this? Oh, man, we're going to Bankay Island. And everyone always said the island name as opposed to the city on the island. Mm-hmm. So without knowing enough about it, I'd probably buy it for $69, sell it for $3,000. Just kind of a typical wholesale. But I really probably, even to pay the $69, I'd have to get a sense that was Bankay Island. And then the second thing with the island, I think the island is great when the first word by itself is just, there's no way it's available. You know what I mean? If it's Thunder Island or something, there's no way Thunder.com is available. So you're always going to put Thunder Island on there. But in this case, there's a strong chance that maybe just Bankay is going to be available. So you have to ask yourself, do I need the island or is it redundant? But if it's a popular island name where the first name, there's no way it's available, then I think having the island's okay.
So you like it at $69, but what if the bidding got up to $300 on NameJet or GoDaddy or whatever?
I really got a sense that there was only about 11 hotels. If there was 20 to 30 hotels, 4 stars, honeymoon destination, the whole thing. But it has 1 million people on it, but 1 million people in Indonesia is different than 1 million people in the U.S. I hate to say it. So in terms of consumers. The next two are kind of together. Geo medical names: Boston Walk-In Clinic, Charlotte Urgent Care. Put them both at $4,500 if I owned them to sell them. Mm-hmm. Urgent Care is interesting because I did some trademark research, and it is one of the words where a lot of people tried to trademark it, and then you actually have 5th District real live trademark lawsuits saying, no, it kind of got generic on you. And there's so many people using it that they had, one guy wins on the appeals level, one guy wins on the next level, one guy throws it out. So it looks like, and I'm not a legal attorney here, it looks like it's taken on some generic meaning. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, trademark, there's an urgent care out there, don't do it. But it looks like it's taken on some generic. The next one, country videos, best name on the list for me. Try to sell it at 20 grand.
Who's going to buy it? What kind of companies do you think are out there to pick up country videos?
A lot of people watch country videos.
I know they watch them, but who might buy countryvideos.com, do you think? Who would you target? Well,
if you can put content up there and you can generate traffic and you can sell those people anything, then you might as well do it with country videos. So, if you buy into the fact that, I don't watch country videos, but you say the demographics and everyone wants... What's that?
You're in Tennessee. How could you not watch country videos?
Choice, baby.
Is that a Billy Ray Cyrus poster on your back wall behind you?
No, I'm born and raised in California. Surf punks, baby. That's where I go back to.
All right.
So I just think it has the pedigree to hang out there and put a big price number on it. And, the history of MTV and video content and being social, mobile, global, over the top. Mm-hmm. You're in a really popular area. So if you're owning it, you're gonna probably, you'd want to turn down 5 offers before you sold it. You don't want to take it to one guy who's got a great idea and wants to pay 11 grand or something. You're going to want to wait. I think it's going to be worth it to wait for the best buyer, and probably build it. It's pretty easy to aggregate and curate data using today's tools. Where it would be great if you could create your own content, but if not, you can either aggregate by size and just say we have all of them from YouTube, or curate and say these are the best. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we're doing in our business, is we're realizing we may have to go beyond being a domainer, and there's just some great tools out there to do it. So I would probably recommend putting something up there beyond maybe just grabbing rev share from sending people away. Digitors, brandable, I guess, and the people that use their hands to be digitors. I didn't personally like it, but I think it's a valuable name, so I'd hold out for 4 to 5 grand. Display rentals. I know a lot of people have to rent displays, so kind of a B2B name where those people are paying $200 to $400 a month or something to rent some type of video display or display. So if you own it already and you're going to sell it, you might as well try to get $8,000 to $10,000 for it, I think, because that's why we're buying them, is to sell them to an end user who can use them in their business to generate the profit that they make off the product they sell. How many products would you have to sell a month to make this name pay for itself? Do Las Vegas, didn't really like it. Vegas and Las Vegas is interesting, and I think if you're going to be brandable, you almost want to be Do Vegas. But it's a nice name. I'd keep it if I owned it. $2,000 to $3,000 if I wanted to sell it. Fire and rescue just misses. Most departments are search and rescue, and it's the fire department that provides search and rescue. So, I'd probably be willing to take any offer above $2,500 on that one. Great auto insurance. Huge monetizing name. I may leave that one to you, Frank, because I think you could probably extract some tasty number for it. We'd probably price it at $8,000 or $10,000. Be glad to sell it, go buy something else, but it has also the possibility to maybe be a lot more. Harley Hog, I'd stay away from trademark, and I think that'll complete my. Oh no, I got to do hot country music. I got a joke for that one too. I like hot sausage and I like hot music, but I don't know if I like hot country music. So I think in this case, this name enters into the competitive landscape against all the other words that could go before country music. Best country music, current country music, any other adjective. And I just didn't like hot, but maybe someone else would. So if I owned it, I'd try to get $4,000 to $5,000, but I just didn't personally like it.
Yeah. All right, Frank, before we go over to you, and you're welcome to go through the list any way you want. There's no rules about which ones you like and which ones you don't. So I didn't want to make you feel like that. I just realized that if Adam joins us, all 3 of you Sherpas have helped me in some way purchase a domain name related to Bainbridge Island where I live, and it only occurred to me after you were talking about Banka Island page. Paige sold me BainbridgeIsland.tv because he snatched it before I was able to get it. I bought BainbridgeIslandRealEstate.com from Domain Name Sales. And then Adam helped me grab my zipcode.com. So yeah, it's the trifecta of Sherpas if Adam joins us today. So
crossing my fingers for that.
What'd you say, Frank?
Crossing my fingers for joining.
All right, Frank, let's go to you. Anything on the list that you want to talk about? Ones you like, ones that you think are the most valuable, ones that you think you should drop? I'm
going to breeze through the ones that Paige did too, and I'd encourage Paige to do the same thing if Adam's going to join. I won't maybe spend as long on each one. Like 3D Country, I agree with you that it looked more like a brand for, a place that does 3D stuff. Maybe a good thing to do would be, I'll tell you what I would do, whether I'd buy it or not if it was going up at any price. And then I'll just, what I pay for it's not that important, because I might pay $1,000 or $1,800 and people go, well, that's just crazy for a name that doesn't make sense, because I'm just running the auction and sometimes you can't micromanage the prices. So I'll just tell you what I'd sell it for and whether I'd buy it or not, because there are some on here I'd probably pass if they were in a drop list or something.
Sure.
So 3D Country, if I saw it in the drop list, I'd put it in. And if I owned it already, it's in my repertoire, it's getting some traffic, I'd probably ask 5 to 6K for it. Bank Island's funny because it's actually spelled without the G. It's when you're down there, and so elsewhere in the world they spell it with the G. So it's one of those. And then do they call it Bank Island there, or do they call it Banka, whatever the word is for island? And then do they even type ASCII characters? Right. To Paige's point about the million people there being different than the million Americans. But I'd still probably take it, and if I were to sell it, I'd probably put it at $5,000 or something like that. You might want to try to swing harder if the guy, depending on the professionalism of the email that came in to inquire, or just you get a feel for these things after you look at enough sales inquiries. A lot of that depends on who's inquiring. Sometimes you could swing for the fences. Boston Walk-in Clinic, I kind of like it, but I think it's a real, there's an old saying, a fool and his money are soon buying long tail. And so this one seems a little on the long tail side, not calling anybody a fool here, but it's a little bit too long. I'd probably sell it. I probably wouldn't buy it if it were on the list, just because I don't even know if they call them walk-in clinics in Boston. They might call them something else, like clinics or just something else. Or Boston Walk-in would probably be better. Charlotte Urgent Care, I'm with Paige on this one. It could be a trademarky term. I might still pick it up on the hunch because it has a lot of generic keyword resonance. But you may have trouble. You may get a cease and desist right after that. Maybe the reason it dropped. So it's tough to say. I'd probably pass on that one too. Country video is definitely the winner in here. Big keyword generic. I don't know who'd use it. Maybe you sell it to a Vivo or somebody like that who wants to experiment with a generic and maybe do a sub-site, and or Daily Motion, somebody like that. Digitors, I didn't even know what that was. I would have probably not taken it and not renewed it if it didn't get any traffic or revenue.
Yeah. Hey Frank, what would you price country videos at before we move on?
50 to 60 grand.
50 to 60. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Or price it at 80 and sell it at 50 or 60, depending on how rambunctious I felt that day and how many other inquiries I were getting on big keyword names like that. It's a big keyword name. You type videos on a keyword gravity tool, country videos will be in those top 50 results.
Yeah.
And those big top 50 head terms are rare. Looking through this list in general, big names like island.com, rentals.com, music.com, those were gone in the first round. In the second pick, you got names like country videos. I have a lot of those in the belly of my portfolio because it's just a matter of the time when they're acquired. I see a lot of third and fourth generation picks here. The point about Fire and Rescue and Do Las Vegas. These are names that you kind of get creative after a glass of wine and make up. But jumping back up, so digitors I wouldn't probably go for. Display rentals I'd say is probably the second most valuable on the list because that's a very high margin business. I know that to be the case. It has been for years. You can rent 3D displays and projectors. You can also rent trade show booths, which is a hugely lucrative business for the people in that space. And so they have a lot of money to go buy names like these. That goes for like gambling names too. So anything related to display rentals, this is the name of that industry. I'm sure there are like 5 other ways to say it. But in this case, that's one I'd hold on to. I already touched on Do Vegas and Fire and Rescue. I agree with Paige on this totally. Great auto insurance. I mean, that's a great, auto insurance names are huge. but you can throw any positive sounding word in front of that. There are probably only about 10 or 20 that make sense. So I'd say that's really a great name to hold. If I owned that, I'd probably ask 20 or 30 grand on it.
20 or 30 grand, what would you take?
I'd probably right in there. I'd probably try to hold on to it just because it's a tasty one. You feel these that are just tasty. Harley Hog, trademark, right? I'd stay away. Harley's going to come for you. But you can kind of defend it if you're an enthusiast or a Harley dealer. Harkening back to the Weber Grills case where that was defensible. So if you're an authorized dealer. So it has value to the dealer. And actually, I'll tell you a funny story. I knew the guy who owned Harley Davidson parts, okay, a total trademark. And he had this around circa 2001. And I remember he traded the domain name for a brand new Harley Springer software. So there was a dealer.
That's smart.
And no, but I'm telling you, like, EDRP. Like, I mean, it was just a different
Well, but not for the dealer who's going to sell parts. Like, that was a smart play on both parts.
Nowadays, that dealer would try him on with UDRP, but I still remember getting the photographs. I might have it on one of my old computers of the Harley being delivered, being offloaded off the back of a flat deck. It was a beautiful Springer soft kill. And he wound up selling it because he wasn't a bike rider. But I thought to myself, geez, that's a great bike to trade for that, trademark name that's really worthless, right?
Yeah.
Anybody but the Harley dealer.
Yeah.
So anyway, hot country music. Was that? Oh yeah, there we go. That was still one of the pages. I'd say, I don't like it. I'd pass. Las Vegas Players. Again, I'd pass because of the plural on the end of it. If it were singular, I'd probably take it and it has more value because it's like a player club and it works better, I think, as a singular, as a standalone site. Players, for some reason, I don't like it that way. And then now getting into mine that Paige didn't touch on. Paige, you should get in on these ones too.
Okay.
Mobile perks. I don't really love it. I think maybe I owned it. I happened to sweep it up. I'd probably let it go for like $5,000 or something like that. Unless there's some traffic outlier event in there. I don't see, but just looking at it on a keyword weight, first blush, the art of it, I don't like it. Or I maybe missing something, but again, there we go. Music enthusiast. Enthusiast is hard to spell, and that's a lot of syllables to say. Music enthusiast. That's 4 syllables. Why would you want to work that hard to talk that much? Music fan. That's 2 syllables.
Well, sure.
Syllable count is really, really important. A lot of people don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Names that don't roll off the tongue, or you have to be a cunning linguist to get out, are not names you want to own because they don't make for radio friendliness. My commitment, hard to spell, 2 M's. I still can't spell. I thought there were 2 T's in there.
Right. Yeah.
So I like to hear it. Great for like a romance or marriage vow or something like that, or legal or real site or something like that. But I don't like it just because it's hard to spell.
Mm-hmm.
All these last few, if I own them, are like $5,000 names, and I don't sell very much for $5,000. Nutritional products, I like it. If I owned it, I'd try to get $11,000 for it, $12,000, maybe 13. Start at 15, maybe even somewhere in there. But again, long name, nutritional, hard to spell. It's a plural. Definitely a 3rd, 4th pick over nutrition product or something like that. And even that is not a good anchor name. So I think you can do better there if you're looking for such a name. Protein wear, I kind of like that one. It's kind of punchy and resonant, but I'd say maybe $7,000, something like that. If I owned it, I mean, just it's a good turn and get it up. I didn't sell many names in that under 10K range, but that's one that I could see going there. Scholastic apps, I think you got trademark trouble there from the Scholastic school people because they're just so big and they're quite covetous of their mark. So I wouldn't have picked that one up. I think it's a dump it for whatever in lieu of a UDRP when somebody inquires on it. So I wouldn't have that in there. Or if I do have it in my list, it's on the purge list. School of Golf. It's kind of cool. I don't think it's going to have a lot of traffic. 3 symbols, easy to say.
What would you price the school of? Clearly if it were golf school, I think it would be worth more than School of Golf. School of Golf sort of strikes as a brandable. What would you price that at?
Golf school? If I had golf school, I'd probably put $25-30,000 on it. That's why I kind of like School of Golf. I wouldn't throw that one away.
Yeah.
It's like a $5K-ish, $6K-ish name. Sportscars.co, I really don't like it. Now, I know I'm a new GTLD guy, but you really got to look at the span the dot here. And it doesn't look right. Sportscar.co works, or sportcar.co, singulars. But those plurals, those double plurals in there are poison. And especially before the dot, that S there. It really ruins the name. So I would have passed on this one. I understand that these names aren't available and that some people probably pick it up and hold it and buy it and have more vision than I do there. You have to, again, suspend. You have to appreciate, I have the pick of the litter on new GTLDs, so I'm it's different. I have the luxury of turning my nose up at it, right?
Right.
Staten Island rentals, I really like that. Big borough, very close to Manhattan, a lot of low-price rentals out that way. I think that's punchy. That may be the third most valuable name on the list. What do you think, Paige?
Yeah, we've been with geos. The boroughs are one of the places where it's not going to be on the Wikipedia list of top 200 cities. So when someone took the Wikipedia list of top 200 cities and ran it with boroughs, restaurants, and everything, they would have missed. They would have missed these boroughs like Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens that are 1 to 3 million people, and so you've got big geographic areas with identity that may not be on the list, like Frank talked about, the first wave, and then that second wave came through, or once someone sold something rentals, everyone went and bought everything else. So probably a good buy for them and a good market to sell it in.
Yeah, so I'd say maybe ask 30 grand on something like that, 28 grand, somewhere in there, and see where it goes. And then you don't want to. I think there's a lot of elasticity there. I wouldn't give it away if I owned it. Stocks and investments don't like. Because plural and the A and D, it's just a toughie. It sounds good, it rings out nicely, but it's tough to type long. I mean, if your email is Frank at stocks and investments, I think that's going to get old to type. So I think it's just, how many characters is that? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 19, 20 characters before the dot. Wow. So I mean, if it didn't have the comma on the end, that would save you 3 characters and make it 17 and make it palatable. And that's where the stem the dot new G's come in and they work. But I think that's too long. So tingling, nice for a carpal tunnel doctor. Get rid of that tingling in your fingertips or whatever. But I don't know if ing names don't traditionally do very well. That's another old domainerism from back in the early mid 90s that people started to talk about. I talked to a lot of the old timers, they're friends of mine, and they're like, ing name, no, don't like it. I was telling them, I have e-shopping. You like that? They go, well, shopping is excluded, but I don't like e-shopping as an e on it. So ing names are something you want to kind of avoid in a bit. Veteran housing. Also an ing name, but I mean, that is a great way to describe that industry. That's a great follow-on to that because it does have an ing in there. I think that name is tasty and quite valuable because if you're, in the military and you're looking for affordable housing coming out of the service, I like that. That's just, veteran rentals would be nice. Veteran accommodation is too hard to spell, so I like housing better. So I like that one. I'd probably put on that one, even with my ing aversion, I would probably put 20 to 30 grand on that.
All right. So, quick break from 3 sponsors of today's show. First, are you tired of being upsold and cross-sold when you buy or renew a domain? Then try the newest registrar being built from the ground up with a beautiful interface, competitive pricing, and 24/7 support. Uniregistry.com will surprise and delight you. The right domain can change your life. Uniregistry.com. Second, investing in Chinese domains is crazy hard without expert native language advice. Now, as a service to the Western domainer community, TLD Registry offers ChineseLandRush.com. Using ChineseLandRush.com will help you invest in Chinese domains with confidence and without knowing a word of Chinese. Finally, MediaOptions is a boutique domain brokerage firm that gets results. They've specialized in helping companies acquire and sell high-value domain names since 2005, with a client list ranging from funded startups to Fortune 500 corporations. Visit MediaOptions.com to learn more. So,
25.
we found some domains you guys like, some domains you didn't like, some domains that are potentially trademark issues that Michael may want to just drop. And of course, if he was at Uniregistry, he could select it and then click the delete button, which actually removes it. I've been doing some research on this, and it's like pulling teeth at some registrars to get them to delete a domain name instead of waiting for it to expire. So, Paige, in general, do you think Michael is heading the right direction with his portfolio strategy?
Yeah, I would say, when we evaluate names, I think this one we jumped straight to evaluating whether it was a 3,000 to 4,000 or it had the chops to be a 5-figure name. We weren't doing a lot of, I wouldn't even have considered that, or it's a 3-word, or it's a dash with a hyphen and .info. So I think in general, he looks like he's applied some discipline to buying and only going 3 words when it was a phrase, a huge, keyword like auto insurance, and then maybe the stocks and investments. I mean, the problem is it's stocks and bonds. So you're like, oh, well, stocks and bonds sold for 150 grand. Stocks and investments is the same thing. But it's really not. And I think Frank's comment at the beginning of just looking at it, it's like that justice that quoted about pornography. I don't know how to define pornography, but I know what it is when I see it. And I think a lot of times with a domain name, you just know, and you feel like, does it have a feel? Would someone jump in front of you in line to get it? If you're both sitting there and that name was at the checkout counter, would you say, no, you go first? Or would you be like, no, I'm going to get that name? And I think that's the appeal that, that you're looking for. But in general, I think he's shown some discipline. If this is a representative group of his portfolio, he's in some high-paying keywords. He likes country music, which is good. The veterans housing is probably veterans, but it's a huge mortgage lead, to get that VA loan. So that would be one that I think you almost, if you could keep traffic or keep as lead gen, you might be able to up its value by saying it earns $2,000 a year or something like that. And then you don't have to wonder about its value. We talk about in our videos we're doing the 3 types of cows, the milking cows, the trophy cows, and then the pasture cows, and if it's milking and it's producing milk every day, it's worth the multiple of the milk it produces. And then if it's a trophy cow, it means you just look at it and you go, I want it. And then the rest of them are out there in the pasture and you're trying to fatten them up. You know what I mean? They serve a purpose. You buy them here, you fatten them up, and once they're fat, i.e. once they're a website, they're worth something. So you have to say, is this a good cow that I want to feed, that someone wants to build on, you know what I mean? So that their website will be worth it. So in general, I'd say he's on the right track.
Cool. All right. Hey, I'm going to cut this section short just because we need to get to the name jet, and then I want to quiz you guys on valuing domain names that actually sold. So I want to conclude this section by saying, Michael, thank you for submitting your portfolio and making a generous donation to cancer research. We hope this review has been helpful to you in your domain name investing activities going forward.
Not only does Mr. Do have a really big heart, but he also has some pretty good instincts. If this is not the best part of his portfolio, but a representation of it, I think he's on the right track.
Man, if I could just get Frank Schilling to say that I have good instincts, that would be golden. So you're golden, Michael. All right, we're going to move on to the marketplace list. This section is sponsored by NameJet. We're going to be reviewing 20 domain names that are heading to auction very soon from the day that this video comes out. If you like one of the names below, click through soon, because once they go to auction, you lose your chance to put in a minimum bid and be part of the auction, or even just look at the results. The links below are just click-through trackable links. They're not commissionable links. The list starts with a 4-digit number, 0589.com, and ends with a 3-letter YSU.com. Let's start with you, Frank. What do you like on the NameJet list, and why? If you just had to pick a few of them that, yes, I'm going to be bidding on that one, what do you like and at what price? So
I think the numeric ones aren't big enough, resonant enough numerics. That there's only one, so let's talk about that. I'm discounting it because even though numbers are hot, it isn't a meaningful number. 0589 doesn't mean anything to me.
And it starts with a 0, which typically isn't that good, right?
Right. AUQ too. It's an awkward. It has a Q in there. Maybe it works AU Australia, but the letter Q is one of the tough ones, right? You really got to be an Australian with a business that starts with a Q to want that one. So while I get the 3 letters are valuable, the flood of new generic G's is going to hold these 3 letters like this down, I think. Chords I like. You can do quite a bit with that. That's going to be If you can get that at the right price, that's solid. Detract, that's just one of those weird words. You know what I mean? It's not a noun. That's the problem, I guess. DFI, it's a .NET, and it isn't a particularly resonant one with the two consonants coming first. I'm not as fond of that. Drafting is solid. That's a solid word to own. 50K in there if you were boutiquing it to the right buyer, even though it's an ING name. Again, these are some good ones. But let's put this in context. If it were draft or something like that without the ING, it'd be 100, 120, right? So entertain, I like that. But as soon as people type entertain, they want to throw ment on there, and then it becomes hard to type and spell. I mistype that. And actually, even entertain, people are going to type it enterain, and so clearly it's a big word, but it's one secondary, I think, to better ones. Gems.info, if you're in the gemological business, I like it, even though it's a .info, but you have to get it pretty cheap. Hooky, I really like. It's kind of something we all know what it is, and it's cute. And those cute names, people often name their, Web 2 and Web 3.0 business names like that are cute. So I think that one jumped out at me right away.
What would you price Hooky at if you owned it?
90 grand.
90 grand, and what would you pick it up? What's the highest price you'd go on that one, do you think?
That's a good, I do this buy-sell thing a lot with friends. I'd probably pay, like 5 to 8 for it, maximum if I really wanted to carry it. You got to remember there's carrying cost, right?
Yep.
And that's the domain business, folks. You got to buy a name that's for 5 grand and hope to get it for 100. You may sit on it for 4 weeks.
Right.
I mean, you pay within 50% of what you're ever going to sell it for every name. You're going to go broke.
Yeah.
Name.
So what do you need to buy it at in order to sell it and hold it for that 5 or 10 years that you're going to hold it for until a buyer comes along?
I'm thinking 5 to 8 grand.
Okay.
5 to 8. I can pay that at wholesale in an auction. In an auction setting against. I wouldn't buy these boutique from another bidder. If I were a seller, you're boutiquing it now.
Yep.
At that point, and you're on a platform like Domain Name Sales.
Yeah.
then you're doing that. Then you're asking, over 100 grand. It's a solid name. I don't. I kind of like that as a divorce site or something like that. It's cute. 5 letters and a sentence. I think that's punchy. I think there again, 30 to 50 grand would be a good value to another person to buy it at that price. Mm-hmm. And then if I were buying it wholesale at the auction, I don't think it'll go over 5 grand. Mm-hmm. But there's money in there. Mm-hmm. Illegible, double L's, hard to spell. Don't know what I do with it. Pass.
Okay.
MDN, .net, all consonants. Pass. You can pick it up for nothing and warehouse it or something. But I really don't.
It's not something that you'd pick up.
If it go over $1,000 at auction, I wouldn't do it. I'd use the money. OUJ. I don't know if that means something. Like OUI is in French. The I is next to the J key, so there's a typo there of oui in French, which means yes. But in addition to that, it's also. I'd go beyond typo here. This is more of what I call a brandable variant. Mm-hmm. Something with a business that meant yes in French and had began with the letter J, like yes, something with a French word that began with J, could make this a shortened website and it'd be cute, So I think that could be a French brandable variant. If I owned it, I'd probably ask 35 grand because of that, and I would pay very little because I really don't like to buy 3 letters because there's just so much UDRP risk and there are a lot of these coming. Like what's a 3-letter .web worth? What's a 3-letter .link? I'm jaded. I know that .com is the global standard, but that will diminish over time. You've got to factor that diminishment, if that's a word, into your pricing equation for the future with so many 3 letters coming. Mm-hmm. But I guess for the time being, if you pick it up for a few grand, it'd be a good thing to hold on to. That'd be a nice, sweet buy, and then you hold on to it and try to ask some big bucks for it. Pammy, I like. A lot of girls named Pam, Pamela, and Pammy. And it's just cute. Again, it hits the cuteness marks. It's short, 4 letters. Sell it at 50 to 60 grand as an ask and see where the offers come in. Try to buy it cheap, definitely under 8 grand, Stethoscopes. Product in a box, ready. That's a great thing. You can sell online, ship it anywhere, easy to ship. It's one of those. I like these because there's no market leader Hayneedle does that, formerly NetShops. They find a product where there's no market leader, like gazebos. Who's the biggest gazebo manufacturer? Or ceiling fans. Who's the biggest ceiling fan maker? There is nobody that kind of jumps out. And stethoscopes is one of those products. You could be the stethoscopes.com guy and have the run of the stethoscope market because you have that brand. So I think that's a really powerful name.
What would you buy it and sell it at, Frank?
I'd probably pay up to 10 grand up to, and I'd be selling this one, over 100 grand. Well, if I owned it, I'd probably ask $250,000 and then try to work my way backward from there. Maybe 180, 200. So there's value in there, but you may have to wait a while for that ship to come in. Surf classes, like it a lot, but class is better. The ES kind of pulls it down. But surfing, I think, is the hot thing after yoga. So, especially on the West Coast, tough. I'd try to buy it for up to $1,000 and just hold on to it, sell it for 22 to 25.
Yeah.
UPV falls into how I feel about three letters with predominantly made up of consonants. Don't know that it means anything. I haven't Googled it. Would probably avoid it. There are three-letter guys who want to protect the value of their three-letter portfolio, so they try to bid up three letters. You know what I mean? Because they're three-letter guys.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even realize that there were people that bid up other three letters to try and keep the prices high.
There are only 17,000 and change of them. So, that's why people do that. They don't come up that often. People try to latch onto those first. Taking one up, makes the other one's more valuable. And it's, when they don't come up that often. So you see disproportionate high prices. I think in the long run, there's more pricing pressure on three letters than people realize. And two letters, too, because you can get those in any extension now. The magic is gone, So, water balloons, that's a cool little product you could ship, like for kids to throw at each other and stuff, But I try to buy it under $1,000, and then I try to sell it around 10 grand.
Yeah.
So about 10x delta. Workout program, nice name, but I try to pick that one up a lot cheaper. Maybe under $200-300, and then if I owned it, I'd ask $5 grand, $3 grand, $5 grand. That's why I probably wouldn't even target it because it's just too low. You can apply your cash elsewhere and make more.
Yep.
YSU, U on the end. There could be a university that starts with YS. You could be UDRP'd. Plus, you got all that UDRP risk. Plus, my aforementioned aversion to three letters for all the reasons I already outlined.
I know. If somebody's watching this show for the first time, they're like listening to you talk about three letters. They're like, I'm out. Like, I'm not going there.
Good three letters are valuable. Three-letter words that mean something.
Yeah. Sure.
Art is a three-letter word. Art.com. That's going to be worth something, right?
But I think what Frank's pointing out, not to interrupt, I think what Frank's pointing out is that the three-letter world, you're paying market for them. Most domains we try to buy at 10% of what they're worth.
Right.
Because it's such an easy thing for someone to come in with money to say three letters, you're paying market for them. So the future value you have of that name is going to depend how the market goes for three-letter names. And you don't have that cushion that I bought it for 10% of its eventual market value, where the market could drop by 50%, and you still may be okay in a two-word or a Geo Plus or something.
Yeah.
But if it's fully valued at wholesale, then you really are at risk, I think, to losing money. Not just I'm not going to make as much money as I thought.
Sure.
And the uninitiated run there first. The uninitiated buyers who don't know this stuff have 10 grand burning a hole in their pocket. Run there first and run them up.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, Adam. Paige, we're going to go over to you. We'll run through the list, and then we'll give Adam a crack at the NameJet list as well. And then we're going to play the game before we've got about 10 minutes left. So let's see if we can run through the NameJet list. What are your favorite names on this list, Paige?
I thought Frank did a great job of summing them up. I go with him.
Which ones are you going to bid on?
What names? Pammy, but it's probably going to get away from me.
Yeah.
It's of the CVCVs, two good consonants, very little substitution. The long sound, the long sound, or the short sound and the long sound. You're not going to wonder if it's an E. It's Pammy. It's you know it when you see it. Maybe let's see. The chords.com I like because we all pay way too much money for those stupid adapter cords that we need to replace on stuff.
Yeah, don't you feel like you're getting taken every time you buy a new iPhone?
Well, it's like
or power
there's a
cord?
lot of margin. Drafting, obviously a big word, kind of an old-time word. Unless you want to talk about fantasy football drafting, you might be able to do better with fantasy football than the old school, drafting class with your protractor and everything. I liked entertain.com because if you look at what's happening on Pinterest, you look at what's happening on researching parties and maybe the more feminine market out there, they are going to spend a lot of money entertaining. And so whether you want to be, and entertaining is kind of, you almost get into entertainment. So I like to entertain probably more. I'll probably keep an eye on that. You don't know if it's reserve, if it's another person selling it, but I mean, I hate paying more than $2,000 or $3,000 for anything, and I'd keep an eye on that one. So I bet I like that more than the rest of the group.
Okay.
Tammy, like I said, water balloons, even though it's a great product, I'd almost switch to the brandability of the phrase that everyone remembers playing with water balloons. And you could have some type of cartoon characters, wallpaper, something crazy that you just use the water balloon's name because everybody remembers. You don't have to ask me how to spell it again, So it's almost like its brandability might be better than its keyword name. Mm-hmm. And then workout program, boy, they're big. iFit's the dominant leader, but the idea of having the app to keep track of what you're doing as your personal fitness coach. So I'll probably keep an eye on that one. Again, I hate paying more than $2,000 or $3,000 for anything, but it seems to be a big area. Yeah. So I don't know. Those are the ones I maybe like more than the rest.
Cool. Well, I always like the ones where it is like a business in a box, like Adam always talks about. Water balloons. That's one that I might build. Buy physical product from China, stored in my garage, which are small little pouches, and then my daughter can run that business, who's 12 and always looking for extra cash, and she can run it, mail out water balloons to people that buy them. So I may keep an eye on that one and then have Adam build it out for me when I'm ready. Hey, Adam, let's go over to you. On the NameJet list, what do you like and what price?
So adding on to what the guys said, I'll go quick because we're short on time. I like the 3 letters. I disagree with Paige that you have to wait on the price and they have to be market value. 3-letter domains are like 2-letter domains. You don't have to wait on market value. I've got a couple I'm holding on to, and so do a lot of other people. I'm going to get the price I want, or I'm not going to sell them. So there's nothing about market value on those. 4-letter.coms maybe. Chords I like. I think it's a good business in the box. Drafting, I still think it's a great name. I think I could sell it to an architecture company easily. I don't. I think that should be my wife's name because every time I ask her to do something in the bedroom, she says I don't. MBN, I'd worry about that one, that it's too close to MBNA, so watch out for that. Or do something different than credit cards and banking. PAMI's a good one. It's pronounceable. Agree with Frank on stethoscopes. I think it's good. Surf classes is good. Water balloons isn't really a product. They're all started as balloons. They're not going to fill them with water and send them to you.
No, there are special balloons just made for water that break more easily.
Yeah.
All right, well.
I wish I had an avatar I could throw at him right now.
So water balloons are good then. I like workout program a lot, and I like YSU.
You do like YSU. Now, why do you like that?
Because here we've got like York University and stuff, and I can find something to do with the S. And I like it. It's good keywords. U could be university, could be universal, could be anything. I like it. I think it's a good one.
Okay, so at least you and Frank said you like stethoscopes. It has a 450,000 Estabot value. I would think that any doctor would go to Google wouldn't go to Google or Bing and like search for a stethoscope. They already know where to buy them.
That doesn't mean we can't advertise in medical journals or publications or medical magazines or anywhere else.
Yeah.
Or even get a hold of the companies that sell them.
Yeah. What do you think it'll sell for on NameJet, Adam? And what do you think the fair retail value is?
I think Frank's going to watch this one now that he's aware of it. It's not going to sell for much because NameJet bidders are usually pretty cheap. So I think you could probably get this one at about 10 to 15K, and that would be a good price for this on NameJet. So yeah. I'm sure Frank's going to own it in about a week.
Oh, we'll see. I'm going to run them
I'll talk it down for you guys. I think it's too narrow. It's way too narrow for a medical equipment industry and hard to spell and long. So
no, it's not narrow. It's a good domain name. It's an easily shippable product. We're not talking about pianos here. It's a good name, and you can sell them anywhere.
I did a quick search. There's a lot of advertisers. They sell for $50 to $300 plus.
Exactly.
So, all right.
It is hard to spell. I give them that. I totally agree. It's hard to spell.
Hard to spell. Okay, so maybe it'll keep the price down. All right, gentlemen. We're entering the lightning round. Today we're playing Name That Price. Paige Howe is the reigning Sherpa on top of the mountain. We're going to see if somebody else can take the summit this week. Frank, what I need you to do is get a piece of paper, because I'm going to have you write down your answer on a piece of paper all at the same time so that you guys can't, like, look at what Paige or Adam or anybody else is pricing. The game works like this. I name 3 domain names that sold within the past 12 months. I have verified that the sales are to end users. You write down the price that you think it sold at. No looking up search volume, no looking up past sales. It's got to be what you think in your head. First up, let's talk some trash. The domain name is dumpsters.com. Dumpsters.com. What do you think it sold for? Write down your answer. All right, Paige is ready. And we're waiting for Frank. If Frank is ready, Adam's still writing. Okay, hold him up, gentlemen. Adam wrote $8,000. Frank wrote $8,000. Wow, we got a... And Paige wrote $35,000. The company that bought it, of course, rents dumpsters. They drop them off. They pick them up. It was sold by DN Biz for $110,000.
Good sale.
Good sale. Dumpsters.com. Why did Adam and Frank think that dumpsters.com, a word, an industry, was only $8,000? What do you guys say?
Is it I'm working on the assumption, we've been talking about name jet sales here. I didn't think that there's a big delta between what they sell for, and this is the domain business, folks. I mean, when you buy, if you buy it in a wholesale marketplace,
yep.
clearing,
right,
these
okay.
things rarely get their full potential. But when in a boutique setting,
right, so retail versus wholesale. So you're looking at a wholesale value. You thought it was an $8,000 wholesale value. And if it was 10% of, you would have placed it at about $100,000 for retail.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna give you that buy there, Frank. But Paige still gets the W on that one. Adam, why did you only think it was 8,000?
I must have misheard. I must have thought it was dumpsters.la or something. I don't know what happened.
What we should do is write down the wholesale and retail.
Well, this is a retail game. It's a retail game, so I'm naming retail prices.
Frank Schilling, he can change the game. Come on.
You can't change the game. Retail prices.
Now I know the rules. This is retail.
That was your first one. Retail prices.
End user.
Definitely end user. Yep.
End user.
All right, we got 2 more coming here. All right, next up, the word. It's a two-word phrase.com. Identity protect. Identity protect. 6 syllables, 2-word domain name. What do you think it sold for? I think Paige has a new strategy. He's going with 35,000. Frank wrote 58,000, and Adam wrote 12,000. All right, so let's look at the 3. We've got Frank went the highest on Identity Protect. Paige went with his standard now, 35,000. Adam was the low one again. The correct answer is, and we're going the closest to the number, Frank. The correct answer is $30,000. It's actually sold by Frank's company, Domain Name Sales, so it could have been Frank's domain for all I know. Paige gets the W again. Now, $12,000, $30,000. It's the same order of magnitude, wouldn't you say, Adam? Like, close enough, or would you say now that you know what it sold for that it was too low, or?
No, I say it's close enough. I mean, identity protect is okay. I mean, the main word is identity protection. I mean, but I guess I could have gone a little bit higher on that one.
Okay, you would have. And Frank, you went up at 58,000. You were the high bidder. I don't know if you owned it. I should have done a Who Has Lookup historical tool on Domain IQ or Domain Tools to see if you owned it. I figured you would have known if you owned it. You got to have mind like a steel trap.
That steel trap, I've got a lot going on right now.
But I think it tells us again, like we learn every week, I think the most important factor these days when a name sells is who sold it and where. And that's almost more important than keyword, this, that, and the other, because this name could have been a Sadu first offer 8,000, or it could have been a Frank top ticking 125,000. I think really where, when, and who sold is almost the biggest variable.
All right, Paige is locked up the W for this time. We're going to go just to see if he can shut you guys out. 3 W's today. The last and final domain name is whoareyou.com. WHOAREYOU.com. Who are you? What do you think it sold for? All right. Frank is going for 28,000. Paige is going for $35K and Adam is going for $6,000. And the answer is $27,500. Frank pulls it out within 500. It was sold by Mike Berkens, Most Wanted Domains. The background, it's funny. It's Sri V. Purna is a descending soul or divine incarnation. He's a spiritual master. His website says, quote, he's adept at many forms of alchemy and the highest yogic secrets. I have no idea how Mike Berkens got $27,500 from what I think is a yogi. I'm not sure. My apologies if I don't understand, but he's attained some state of agelessness.
This is the business we have chosen.
Frank, why did you pick $28,000 for Who Are You? It's one of these domain names that I see selling on the domain name journal list, and I have no idea why it sells or why you're able to get that much for it. Oh, you're muted, Frank.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was just saying, there's a million stories like that in this domain business. That's what this is all about. I'm waiting for the reality show.
All right, we're going to leave the explanation like that. I give the Sherpas 30 seconds apiece to promote anything you want. Let's start with Adam. Anything you want to promote?
Actually, no, nothing today. I'm all good.
All right. Frank Schilling, anything you want to promote? What's new with the business?
You should definitely get a Uniregistry account. We are working on our domain name sales integration. By the end of this year, everybody will be able to boutique names at high prices, at higher velocity, and then close the transactions in-house with one step on our credit card. It's a pretty big integration. More of a migration and integration.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big one because, I think we've all used domain name sales. There's a lot of stuff packed into there. And then both Adam and I have talked about how beautiful uniregistry.com is. And it's going to be interesting to see how you simplify the complexity. That's the key to every business.
Love the domain tracker, by the way. Excellent tool.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the idea. You said it brilliantly. We're going to combine all the utility you really got to be a virtuoso to figure out if and apply yourself, and make it easier for the everyman to integrate it if you choose to look, and all that inside the registrar. So if you get a sudden inspiration while you're checking your stats to register a name, you just need to reach up and to the left.
Yeah, and then when you solve that, Frank, you need to solve the whole new GTLD issue where we can't figure out what's coming out at what price and how to pre-register them and all that. We'll leave that for later.
Sounds good.
Paige Howe, anything you want to promote this week?
Yeah, a domain tip sheet. Since I'm in LA this week, I did all my work on it last week. So this comes out Monday. On Sunday, we'll put the best names that are still available. And they were so good this week from the other guys working on it that I wanted to buy names off my own available names list. So anyway, domaintipsheet.com. Check it out. That's $10 honor fee. If you like the name, we ask a $10 honor fee.
Did you buy the domain?
We wait 24 hours after they come out, and then I don't buy them for 24 hours.
Nice.
Hey, boys, I got a hard stop. I got to run. But
yes,
go, Frank. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
If you receive benefit from today's show, post a comment below. Thank today's Sherpas. Thanks to Michael Dew for submitting his portfolio for review and making a generous donation to help find a cure for cancer. Thanks to NameJet for submitting their portfolio and sponsoring the Domain Sherpa review. And thanks to our Domain Sherpas, Adam Dicker, Frank Schilling, and Paige Howe for sharing their experience and insights. See you, gentlemen. We'll see you all next time.